All right. In this video, we're going to dive into our first meeting. So let's go ahead and share my screen so you can kind of see what we're talking about here. So let's see here. Ba-ba-dum. Here we go. Here's our meeting process. Our first meeting is where we get to know them. Second meeting, where we're going to talk about what we can do for them and what it costs. Third meeting is all about how we can help them. So here we are in this first meeting. You'll notice that we have three things listed here: purpose of visit, MIFC, and then income tax portfolio. So, what does all of this mean? Purpose of visit. So, when someone comes in for that first meeting, and I do encourage that you schedule an hour and a half or 90 minutes for this meeting, but I want you at the beginning of the meeting to simply open the meeting by telling them, hey, would it be okay if I share with you what happens in these meetings? And they say yes. And you say, well, we've set aside 60 minutes for this visit. Now, by the way, you set aside 90, but you're going to tell them 60, and that way you can have the freedom to go a little long if you want. We've set aside 60 minutes for this visit, and the purpose is simply to learn a little bit about your situation to see if we can be helpful. So feel free to ask us all the questions you want. We'll probably ask you a lot of questions. And at the end of the day, one of two things are going to happen. Either one, I'm going to be able to give you some good advice, and you can, we'll part as friends and you can go do it, and you don't need us anymore. Or secondly, based on your questions and what you're trying to accomplish, we may have to, do a little thinking. We may have to schedule a follow-up visit. Again, that doesn't cost any money. That's free to do. But we may need a follow-up visit just so we can kind of do some thinking to answer your questions. So either way is good with us. We'll see where it takes us. Fair enough? Great. So tell me, what brings you in today? That is the purpose of the visit. That's what I mean by purpose of visit. Tell me what brings you in today. And pretty much whatever they say, you're going to follow up with, well, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. And this is where you want to dig a little bit because ultimately, here's what you're trying to get to: the MIFC. MIFC. And what does MIFC stand for? It stands for most important financial concern. What is their biggest financial concern? That's what we're trying to identify near the beginning of the meeting. And we do that by digging. And the way we dig is with questions. So, what brings you in today? Well, I just want to get a double check on what I'm doing. Really? Tell me more about that. It's interesting. Tell me more. Well, blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. So you're telling me you came in, you want to get a double check, and you just want to make sure you're making the right choices, it sounds like. Is that right? Yeah, that's what I said. You're just repeating back to them what they said. Follow up with this question. So tell me, why is it important to you to make sure that you're making the right choices or whatever they say? Or if they say taxes, I'm here because I want to learn more about tax. I want to save money in taxes. That's interesting. Tell me more. Well, I feel like I paid my fair share over the years. I just want to make sure I'm not paying too much money in tax and retirement. All right, great. So, so you've told me that you're here because of tax planning. You want to save taxes, and you don't want to pay too much money in retirement and taxes. So, tell me why is this important to you? What does that do for you if you can pay less tax in retirement? What would you do with the money? You see what I'm doing here? I'm just asking questions to try to uncover how does this, whatever they say, how does helping them in that area benefit them? What's in it for them? Right? And we just want to keep digging. You can use that, what's important to you, and dig, dig, dig. So they could tell you that, well, if I save money in tax, then I can enjoy more financial security in retirement. Okay, so tell me more about that. What does that mean to you? Well, I might, how would you, like, if you're not giving the money to the IRS, how are you going to spend it? Where's the money going to go? Well, it'll give us more security. Really? Tell me more. Why is that important to you? Dig down and get to the emotional feelings as to why this stuff is important. And I know it seems a little strange, but I'm telling you, this is what sells the deal right here. Now, once you feel, and then, hey, what else? So what else brings, okay, so we've talked about the tax issue. What else brings you in? Well, I also want to make sure. I mean, here's the deal. The first thing they tell you why they came in oftentimes is not the real reason they came in. Oftentimes, it's not their most important financial concern. They're MIFC, they're MIFC. What you have to do is, okay, what brings you in? Tell me more about that. Why is that important? Dig. But then what else brings you in? Right? What else? This is when they actually start to open up as to why they're really here. I'm telling you, the first one is very rarely why they're really here. Sometimes it is, but normally it's not. They normally don't start with why they're really there. So ultimately, you're just trying to figure out, hey, so what's your biggest financial concern? What is your most important financial concern? And eventually, I mean, you can even ask them that. So at the end of the day, what's your most important financial concern? Well, at the end of the day, I just want to make sure I don't want to run out of money. Okay. Why is that a concern? Tell me about that. And again, notice that I'm never stopping. I keep digging. All right. Once you kind of knock that stuff out, now it's time to kind of change gears a little bit. Now you might be 30 or 40 minutes in the meeting at this point, and now you're just saying, hey, there's three things that we really see. There are three main strategies we employ with all of our clients. So let's kind of talk a little bit about, with your permission, why don't we talk a little bit about what you're doing in these areas? So let's start with income, because income is the lifeblood of retirement. So tell me a little bit about that. Are you retired? When do you want to retire? If you're not retired, tell me about how much income. What's your target? How much income do you need to be comfortable in retirement? What are your sources of income? Right? What types of income planning have you done so far? What are your thoughts there? Right? And so you just want to kind of dig there a little bit, just uncover what are they doing now. And you do that. What about taxes? Who helps you? Who does your tax return? Who helps you with your tax planning? Because remember, tax planning and tax preparation are different things. Who helps you there? These are great questions to ask. Just dig. Hey, tell me about your tax. Are taxes important? Why are they important? Right? Your income. Tell me about your income. How stable do you need your income to be? Right? For a lot of people, how much do you want? You want 10,000 a month? Okay. How much of that has got to be there no matter what? Like 80% of it? 75? I mean, how much do you need no matter what versus how much can be a little more discretionary? Like if you had to tighten your belt, is that going to be okay? Taxes, talk about that's easy. And then tell me a little bit about, and this is how I like to ask about their portfolio. I simply say, all right, here we go. Let's talk a little bit about your retirement savings. When you think about your savings, are you a conservative, moderate, or aggressive investor? How do you categorize yourself? Oh, I'm moderate. Okay. Tell me more about that. Why do you consider yourself moderate? And they say whatever they say. Okay. So you're moderate because of this. So, well, let me ask you this question. You've got how much money you said? $1.2 million. Okay, you got $1 million. Okay, great. Let's imagine I'm your guy and you say, here, Mike, or here's my $1 million. You invest it for me. And now it's 2008. The market is just crashing, burning. It's down 50%. And you're watching your portfolio go down. How far down does it go before you're picking up the phone and calling me saying, Mike, look, we got to do something different here, man. I do not, this is too much. I'm losing too much money. We got to do something different. What's that number? And it's so interesting because I don't care how they categorize themselves as conservative, moderate, or aggressive. This is where you find out, are they conservative, moderate, or aggressive, right? And I always like to ask the lady, if it's a husband, wife, I always ask the ladies first. And then I ask the husbands. So it's important that you get that type of information. Now, as we wrap up, if it's somebody that you don't want to bring to the next meeting, this is where you just give them some helpful advice, let them do it themselves. But if you're going to bring them to the next meeting, say, okay, based on your situation, we need to bring you to our next visit. We call it an enhanced meeting. And in this meeting, let me tell you what we're going to do. Between now and our next meeting, just so you know, our team, Gavin will probably reach out to you just to make sure that he's got all the data he needs to get in our system. But in our next meeting, we're going to share with you kind of, here's where you are in these areas and, with income and taxes and your portfolio. We'll share with you where you are, and then we'll share with you kind of, what we could do. We'll tell you if you're doing well, or if you could improve, we'll tell you, hey, you could improve, and here's how you could improve. Here's what you could improve to. And then we can tell you if you want to work with us, like, here's what it costs, right? So our goal is big picture. Here's what's possible. And if you want to work with us, here's what it costs. And so that's what happens in the next meeting. Does that sound comfortable to you? Now, don't worry, I'm not going to twist your arm at the next meeting. I'm not going to tell you, hey, you got to make a decision to work with us or not. That's a little premature. The next meeting is really more about just an informational exchange. Are you comfortable with that? Yeah, great. Super. Okay, terrific. So again, remember, now if Gavin has to reach out, which of you, who's the best person for him to reach out to get information? Okay, John, great. And your email, just make sure I've got your email, phone number. What do you prefer? Email, phone, text? What do you prefer? Oh, email? Okay, I'll jot that down. And then boom, you're done. That's the end of the meeting. The purpose of the meeting, most important part is the first half of it, where you're, why are you here? Tell me more. Why is that important to you? Dig, dig, dig. What's your most important financial concern? Why is that important to you? Dig, dig. How has that been? What have you done so far? A great question to ask is, what's wrong with just doing nothing here? Stuff like that. If they have an advisor, hey, what does your advisor say about this? Why are you here? Are you looking for a second opinion, or what's going on there? If they do have an advisor, it's always good to ask questions like, well, gee, what happens if you come to the conclusion that your advisor, while being a good person, what if they can't do the stuff that you need now that you're facing retirement? What if they are not really a retirement focused investor advisor? What are you going to do then? I mean, these are some good questions to ask, right? So be curious. That's the most important thing. Be a curious and active listener. Most important thing. All right. So there you go. Those are your big things to worry about in that first meeting. And I think if you do that, it's going to be a great first meeting. All right.